Not all blushers are the same. Some are completely paralyzed by it, others can push through but still feel a little held back, and then there's a few who only seem to deal with this around very specific people. And so today I want to go through the 3 stages of overcoming blushing anxiety so that way you can know where you fall and then what you need to do next exactly in order to break free of this. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Colin Clem, and I overcame my fear and embarrassment around excessive blushing after dealing with this for nearly 10 years. And I did it without using therapy or medications or creams or makeups or surgery or anything like that. And now I run a coaching program where I help dozens of other blushers do the exact same thing. And I make these videos in order to give away all of my knowledge, earn your trust, and give you a little taste of what it would be like to be a client of mine. The ultimate goal of having a few of you become my clients. So that way you can overcome this much faster, much easier, and much more enjoyable than trying to do it solo. I always have links below these videos with training that explains my methodology and a bit about the program, as well as a link to apply if you're ready to go, and we can chat and see if you're a good fit. But today I want to go through the 3 stages of overcoming blushing anxiety and really the 3 layers of beliefs that you need to unravel in order to break free from this blushing anxiety for good. So I want to start by doing a quick refresher on really what's going on, right? So if you don't know what's happening with your blushing anxiety, then what you need to know is that the blushing is not the problem, right? The only reason that you don't like blushing is because you have the belief that it's embarrassing and that it's something to be afraid of. So that fear and that embarrassment is what causes you to go into an absolute spiral anytime that you feel yourself starting to blush or anytime you feel yourself just thinking about blushing. It all triggers itself and creates this vicious blushing cycle that turns you into a tomato. So that's what's going on. Now, this anxiety and this embarrassment, these are just fears, right? Or they're just beliefs, rather. And beliefs can be both built and broken. So beliefs are not facts. They're just your perception of reality. So we can alter that by simply giving you new perspectives and helping you apply them to your everyday life. That's how your beliefs were built, right? Is you heard some inputs, you heard some claims from other people, and then you went out into the world and you saw if those things were true or not. And you ended up finding that some things are true, some things aren't true, and that's how you build your belief, is you just hear something and then you find evidence to support it. Now, because of that, you can actually break beliefs in the same way. You just get a new perspective, and then you look for new evidence that supports that new perspective, and your old belief that was the truth to you previously now starts to fall apart because now you're seeing a whole new side. So that's what I want to walk through with you today, is like finding where you are on your journey, what new perspective you need to apply, and the actions that you need to take in order to start breaking down some of the beliefs that you have. So I want to walk through the 3 stages of blushing anxiety with you guys. And I'm going to go in order from the bottom here, which is like most severe in this layer 1. And then I'm going to go up into a little less severe and the least severe. And then once you are past this one, you are done with this, pretty much for good. So for each one of these, I'm going to break down what the limiting belief is that's holding you back if you are at this level. So I'll describe the type of people at this level, and you'll get to see if this is you, or if this is you, or if this is you. You'll learn what the limiting belief is that's going to hold you back at that level, and then you'll figure out what the action is that you need to take in order to break free and go into that next level. So the first group of people are essentially hermits, to be honest. It's people who are avoiding life. So this is for people with the most severe anxiety and fear around this. This is for anyone who is letting blushing hold them back from living the life that they want. Just like it's preventing you from going to the store. You've maybe chosen your career to avoid having to talk to people. You've maybe chosen not to date because you're afraid to blush. Like, it's literally stopping you from living life because you have such an extreme fear of it. It's preventing you from doing any of the things that you want to do, or at least some of the things that you want to do. It's having a major impact on what you can and cannot do, because it's all about this "what if I blush" mentality that you have. And so if you are at this stage, if it's stopping you from doing things in life, whether it's going to the store, whether it's going out to a specific place, and it's really limiting what you can and can't do, the belief that you have that is preventing you is just this idea that it's a threat. You, in your mind right now, believe that blushing is dangerous, that like if you go out and blush, that it's a threat to your safety, that people are going to think I'm weird, it's going to be the end of the world, and my life's going to be over if everybody sees me like this. You have this really extreme stance on blushing. And so if that's you, right, if you're at this point, you need to overcome the fear. That's the main goal here, is overcoming the fear. We can worry about the embarrassment later and the shame part later, but first you just have to overcome fear. And what is fear? So fear is just your body perceiving, your mind perceiving something as a threat. You think it's a threat to your safety. Now, you have to realize that blushing is not going to kill you, right? So you need to logically understand that blushing is not going to kill you. I hope that we can agree on that while you're watching this video, that if you were to go out to the store or you were to go out and interview for a job, that you would survive, okay? We'll worry about the comfort later. It would be uncomfortable, yes, but like you would survive, right? And so it's not a threat. Like it's not going to kill you. And so we have to start there in that and base it on that logic that you're going to be fine. Because the only way to solve fear is to prove that it won't kill you. That's the only way you solve fear. That's why fear gets easier when you confront it, is because you are giving yourself firsthand evidence that you can go into the thing that scares you and prove to your brain and your body that you're actually going to be safe. Like you're not going to die. And that is why things start to get less scary the more that you expose yourself to them, because your brain can predict that you're going to be fine. And so it stops trying to give you fear to prevent you from doing the thing. And so at this level, you just have to go into minor environments first in order to start building up that confidence, start overcoming that fear situation by situation. So if you're in this stage, find the situations that are really bothering you, or the things that really, really scare you. Find smaller, less intense versions of them and start attacking those. So like if you're afraid to go to the store, just stop by for a second, or go to a store that's right nearby, or a little one. Just go in, grab something, and go out, right? And just do it with the intention of just trying to prove to yourself that this isn't going to kill you, that you are in control and you can do this. Right? And then as you do that little by little and you start ramping your way up, maybe you talk to the cashier and because you normally avoid that. Or maybe you go and you speak up to you just quickly have a conversation with the person at work that you have always been super scared to talk to. Like whatever it is, you can find these little opportunities that you have been avoiding and you can just attack them in small, controlled instances. And you start there, and you start building a little bit of confidence. You start realizing, okay, it's not going to kill me. Colin's right. Like it's really going to be fine. And I just do that, and then you do more, and you do more, and you do more, and eventually you can start living your life without the fear, right? Or I shouldn't say without the fear, but it's not holding you back anymore. Right? The goal is to graduate into stage 2, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But you just need to get past this stage where it's holding you back. You have to stop letting it hold you back. And I have a ton of ideas around, like I'll make an entire video about fear and how to overcome fear. I actually have some videos in the past that are about like overcoming fear and essentially getting yourself to take action, even if you are scared. You can go ahead and watch those. But really, you just need to reframe this as far as like, this isn't the end of the world, right? You're not in poverty. You're not starving to death. You're not getting bombed. Like this is blushing, right? You're not physically being threatened. And so you just have to logically remind yourself of that and then go into these situations and prove that you're in control. So that is what you're trying to do in this first stage in order to graduate into the next stage, which is just general anxiety. So this is for people who are, you don't let blushing stop you from doing things for the most part, but it's affecting you day to day. You just like all the time, you're always thinking about it. You're always conscious of it. It happens pretty often around a ton of different types of people and a ton of different types of settings. It's just something that's kind of on your mind all the time. and you're probably not your true authentic self. You're probably holding back from speaking up pretty often. You're probably just not being the real you. You're trying to fit in. You're trying to be cool. You're trying to just play it normal. And so this is a stage where a lot of people fall, is where it's just something they deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's on their mind all the time, and it's something that's just really bothering them. But they do their best to not let it stop them from living life, right? From actually doing things. So this is where I would say the majority of people fall, is right here. And the limiting belief that you have at this stage is that blushing is embarrassing, right? You've simply convinced yourself that blushing is something to be afraid of, and something to be embarrassed about, rather. So you think that it makes you look weak. You think that it makes you look unconfident, weird, that if people see you blushing, they are going to have a negative belief about you because you believe blushing says that, right? You have the belief that blushing is saying those things. And so no matter who you're with, you automatically feel yourself starting to blush, and then you immediately go to, oh no, they're going to think I'm weird. They're going to think I'm unconfident. They're going to think I'm weak. Whatever it is that you are so afraid of, that's where your mind goes. And you also think that everybody's going to notice. You think that it's going to make a scene. All of these beliefs that are going on in your head. And if that's you, then you just have to prove that it's not embarrassing at this stage. So the first stage, you're just proving it's not, like you think it's a threat. You just have to prove it's not a threat, like it's not going to kill you. And then at this stage, you think it's embarrassing. This is where majority of your anxiety and discomfort is coming from. But you just have to prove that it's not nearly as embarrassing as you think it is. So your actions here is you need to act like your authentic self. You want to stop letting it limit you from speaking up, saying what's on your mind, telling the joke that you want to tell. You need to start having eye contact with other people. You need to start doing these things in order to act more like the person that you want to be. And in doing that, while you do it, you need to look at the people around you, and you need to collect the counter evidence, the counter proof that blushing is not embarrassing. So this whole time you've been looking for all the people who maybe look at you weird or say something to you, or they just make a comment. Like, you've been looking for that so much as support for why this is embarrassing. But at this stage, in order to start overcoming this belief and breaking it down and start showing yourself the reality that it's not nearly as bad as you think it is, you need to start realizing all the people who don't say anything, all the people who don't make a comment, all the people who don't notice or don't care. What you'll realize is that 98% of people literally say nothing, or don't even make a face, or don't even notice when you turn red. So you start acting like your authentic self a little bit more, start speaking up, start keeping eye contact. Like, don't try to hide or run away or, avoid the situation. Maybe even don't stop wearing makeup, or stop wearing the hat, stop wearing the sunglasses, whatever the things are that you've been kind of hiding behind. Stop wearing some of those things, and you can go little by little, do as much or as little as you want. The more that you can take off, the more that authentic you can be, the faster you're going to make progress. It all just comes down to your level of fear and willingness to handle discomfort. But it's going to feel uncomfortable either way. I'm a huge fan of just ripping the Band-Aid off, just going for it. Just taking off all the makeup, sunglasses, hat, and everything, going into the situation, proving you're going to survive. But also, in this stage, the goal is to collect that counterproof. You really need to start proving to yourself the people that this idea that you have that it makes you look weak, or makes you look unconfident, makes you look scared, makes you look like the center of attention. It's not true. Like, it's not true. And as long as you're focused on acting authentic and acting normal and acting confident, like acting like the person that you want to be, and you just focus on that, you'll notice that people will not make it a big deal if you don't make it a big deal. And so that is how you start breaking down this belief. You'll start realizing that your friends don't really care, or your teachers don't really care, or your parents don't really care, your spouse doesn't really care. Like, you're going to start paying attention to that more if you let yourself pay attention to that more. But you have to be willing to recognize the fact that you're just looking at the wrong set of data. You just need to look at the data that says that people don't really care. People don't notice nearly as much as I think that they do. And it's not embarrassing. So you'll start breaking down this belief little by little if you're in this stage, and you're going to graduate into stage 3. So stage 3 is specific triggers. So this is sort of the final stage of blushing anxiety. If you are here, you are actually very close to overcoming this. So these are people who you deal with this only in specific instances. Maybe it's around your boss. Maybe it's around a specific coworker who's very judgmental. Maybe it's around, let me think. It's just anyone or any specific environment where maybe they've pointed it out in the past. Maybe they've said something. Maybe there's been an embarrassing moment around them. Or you just really, really, really value this person's opinion, and you have reason to believe that blushing is ruining your opinion. So at this stage, if collecting the counterproof isn't working at this stage, then you need to take it one step further. And the limiting belief here that's holding you back at this stage is the belief that you need to be perfect around this person. You have this image of how you want to be perceived by this person because you really value this person's opinion of you. You don't want to be seen as weird around this person because you know they're going to make fun of you. They know you're not going to hear the end of it. Or you want to be seen as the perfect employee to your boss, and you want to be seen as confident and comfortable around them. And you think that blushing makes you look incompetent or incapable or weak or unconfident, like all of these negative traits. You think the blushing is saying that about you. And so at this stage, there's essentially 2 sets of actions that you can take. The first set of actions is redefining your desired identity. So you don't have to, I'm not going to tell you that, don't care about your boss's opinion. Don't care about being a good worker or being seen as confident. I'm not going to tell you to do that because I get it. I want to be seen as competent. I want to be seen as confident or to the people that I look up to or the people that I'm trying to gain approval from. And so if that is you, then you just need to redefine how you see that identity. So when it comes to, I really like the idea, the example of work. So if you want to be seen as competent at your job, do you actually think that you blushing makes you look unconfident or makes you look incompetent at your job? You have been thinking that, but I would argue that that is not true at all. What makes you look incompetent is if you say that you know the answer and then you don't. You're afraid to speak up. You act quiet. You don't say what's on your mind. You don't do things out of the fear of how you're going to look. Those things make you incompetent, in my opinion. Your competence, your level of competence at your job, it comes from your actions, not the way that you look. You weren't hired to be a model. You weren't hired to sit there and look pretty. You were hired to work. You were hired to contribute. And so if you want to be seen as a good worker, you need to judge your success on the actions that you take, the work that you do. And so when you're worried about your boss's opinion of you, you think that you blushing is ruining your relationship. I completely disagree. I think you thinking it's ruining your relationship is ruining your relationship. You just need to focus on the work that you're doing for them and the way that you interact with them. Be honest, be open, talk about things, be willing to face your fear and speak up anyway. Be a good team player. Do the job that you were given, right? And just focus on doing the absolute best. Because in my opinion, a good worker is somebody who can do what is asked of them regardless of how they feel about it. And so even if it makes them uncomfortable, they're a team player. They're willing to do it anyway because it helps the team. They're willing to face their own fears, their own quirks, their own insecurities in order to help the mission. And so maybe it's your spouse, right? Maybe you're dealing with this around your spouse and you are worried that you're destroying your relationship with your spouse. You're not. And if you want, think about the identity that you want. The only reason this is a problem is because you care about their opinion of you and you want them to think that you're comfortable around them or that you love them and that you enjoy spending time with them. that is shown through your actions, not through the color of your face. Like, be open. Ask them how they're doing. Show through your actions that you want to be with them and that you're comfortable around them. Hug them. Don't avoid them. Like, it's the actions that speak volumes, not the blushing. And so you need to just redefine the identity that you want in your head as being based on your actions and not the way that you look. So that's the first thing. And then the second action that you can take in order to get out of this is, if that's not enough, if you're like, Colin, it's still embarrassing, or Colin, they're still making comments, they're still teasing me, they still look at me weird, all of these things, and you still are just struggling to get past this, the absolute trump card is this. It's finding someone else to impress. You're always going to care about other people's opinions. It's impossible to not care about anyone's opinion. It's like literally impossible. It's the way that we're wired as humans, is to seek approval from other people. So, but what you can do is you can choose to value some people's opinions more than others. And so until now, you have been choosing to value this person's opinion of you very, very highly, more than anybody else. So what you can do to solve that is find someone else in your life that you care about more. So maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your kid, maybe it's your manager, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's an influencer that you watch online, maybe it's your future self. And you need to act in alignment with what that person would be proud of you for doing. Because when you go into the situation and you have that coworker that's bothering you and they won't stop teasing you, and it's the last person that you can't seem to get past in terms of overcoming this, because you value their opinion, or you just their judgment bothers you, you just in that moment need something stronger to care about than that person's opinion. And you have to be willing to exchange their judgment for the praise of the person who matters more. So for example, if you have a child and you want to show them how to deal with bullies, and you have this person that is bullying you, in the moment when you feel yourself turning red in front of them, and you know that they're about to make a comment, or you have a feeling they're about to make a comment, good. Because this is now an opportunity to show your child how to stand up to bullies, and how to stand up for yourself, and how to be confident regardless of what other people have to say. And so when they make a comment, you can be like, I know I'm turning red. Or I know this is just the way that I was born. And you just set an example for your children. And you, in the moment, can feel good about that. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, there will be a bit of pain from that person, like of the fact that you are willingly taking this, the criticism of the person in front of you. But in the back of your mind, you can say, but this person's opinion matters more to me. And that's all I care about. And so I'm willing to take it from you if it means gaining the respect of my child or of this person that I look up to. So that's the last step, I think, for a lot of you, is just finding someone in your life that you can live for, that you want to make proud, and be like someone whose opinion you value so highly that you are willing to face the discomfort of sacrificing this person's approval of you in order to gain theirs. That's the last step. So if you are at a point where you just have a few people where you're left dealing with this around, this is what you need to do. You need to redefine the identity that you're striving for, base it on the actions rather than the looks, and realize that you can be a good worker. And blushing is irrelevant to being a good worker. It's irrelevant. Blushing is irrelevant to being a loving spouse. Irrelevant. Like you prove it through your words or through your actions. So you just focus on that. And then you'll start to realize I can blush and still be competent at my job. And so that fear that you had around being perfect around that person is gone. Because now you know that you can have the identity that you always wanted, that you thought blushing was ruining. But the blushing isn't ruining it. Your actions are. You just have to act in alignment with that identity and build it and earn that person's respect. But if they're still bothering you, then you just have to find someone else to impress. Period. You cannot, if this person's opinion is still affecting you, you must find somebody else's opinion to care about more. Find someone closer to you. Pick someone that you look up to more, and let that be your guiding light, and do what they would be proud of you for doing. And that way, in the situation, you can have them to go to mentally as sort of an anchor for you emotionally. So that way you don't spiral into the panic of thinking that your world's collapsing because this person who you value so highly is criticizing you. Okay? So those are the 3 stages. If you're avoiding life, you're avoiding all these situations, it's because you think it's a threat. You just have to prove that it's not. You have to go into these situations and stop letting it control your behavior as much. So that way you can actually show that you will survive and you start feeling a little more safe around it. Now, you're still going to be uncomfortable. You're still going to be very embarrassed and feel anxious in the moment. So that is for my general anxiety crowd who are at stage 2, which is when you just have this general belief that blushing is embarrassing. And so you think about it a lot. You have it triggered by a lot of different people in a lot of different situations. You just need to challenge yourself to start acting more authentic. Start acting like the person that you want to be and looking at all the proof that it's not nearly as bad as you think it is. Like, your face doesn't turn nearly as red as it feels. People don't notice as much as you think they do. Even if they do notice, they don't care as much as you think they do. And even if they do care, they don't get the meaning that you give it. They don't think it makes you look weird or that it makes you look unconfident. They just see it as something that happens to you. And that's it. If you ask people, that's what they'll say. And then the last stage is specific triggers. So these are people who are bugging you about it. It's that last 2% of people. This is usually the people who are directly teasing you or the people whose opinions that you value very highly. And so for these people, you need to redefine the identity that you're striving for, base it on your actions rather than your looks, and then you need to find somebody else to impress more than them. So that way, if they do judge you or if they do think you're weird, you at least in your mind can say, I don't care about this person's opinion as much as I care about the person who would be proud of me for being here and acting this way. And that way you can absolutely trump that card and you can start living the life that you want to live. And now you have permission to blush in front of people without feeling afraid of it. So when you let go of trying to look perfect and you just start acting in alignment with the person that you want to be, that is when the fear of blushing dissolves. And so it's no longer going to define you, and it's just going to happen, and it's just going to be something that happens, and it's not going to have the same meaning that it always has. And that is how you will get through this, stage by stage, moment by moment, belief by belief, at one at a time, and you will get through this over time. It doesn't happen overnight, and if you want help in doing this, if you know which stage you're at, and you want help getting to the next stage and getting out of this for good, then I always have links to apply for my coaching program. And I also have a video that explains my methodology. It's a free training, as well as some of the details about the program itself. And so you can always click those links in the description below this video or this podcast if you're listening to it. And you can apply now. We'll hop on a call and see if it's a good fit. And if you enjoyed this video, then I encourage you to leave a like, leave a comment with some of your takeaways on maybe which stage you're at. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. And be sure to subscribe for plenty more videos to come. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.